It's Tuesday morning here in Sydney, and the sun is out. It is glorious. You can kind of see that even coming through, what's behind me. We've got some pretty amazing sun flares coming through our windows today. It is glorious. So hope you guys are well. Hope you're having a fabulous day today, and would love to see you joining me on this live. Let me know if you are joining me. Let me know where you're coming from. What part of the world are you in today? Because we've got an exciting little topic to go through today. It is my diary entry, episode 171. I still can't believe that we're hitting these types of numbers when it comes to how many times I've gone live with you guys. It's super exciting. If you're joining me on YouTube and you're going, I haven't seen 171 episodes. These are the episodes that I've been doing on Facebook. Not quite daily, but getting pretty close to daily since I think I did my very first one on January the 1st. So this has been my 2024 new cool thing to do. And saying good morning to Meryl as well. I can see Meryl joining us all the way from Facebook. Good to see you, Meryl. So this has been my new thing for 2024 is all these new episodes that I'm doing. And it's my, I get inspired by our audience, by our amazing community that we have in Bridget's Healthy Kitchen, and also, of course, the 28-day boost camp. And this particular episode is been inspired by someone I was having a conversation with when it came to exercise yesterday. So I thought I would answer that age-old question. And hello to Stephanie as well. Hello, my darling. I would answer that age-old question: is exercise the secret to weight loss? And I've got 5 things, all obviously steeped in really good science that I'm going to share with you today that you may not know about exercise. So we've got Marion joining us all the way from the Central Coast. It's good to see you there, Marion, as well. But yeah, I thought I would get around to this pretty exciting little topic for us today, which is all about exercise, because it is often, an area that can be a bit of a minefield when it comes to understanding the relationship between exercise and weight loss. Now, before I get into this, I'm not here to bag any one or the other type of technique, whether you're someone who exercises a lot, whether you're someone who exercises a little, or whether you're someone who does, who's really got a handle on their nutrition and their diet. Look, I'm not here to bag either way, right? I'm just here to give you guys the facts, the nutritional facts, and the facts on biology, basically, how our body actually works, which is always an important conversation to have, rather than my opinion on how things work. This is really about how your body works, how our bodies work. And if there's one thing that I love the most about science, and before I say that, I'm just going to say good morning to Pam, joining us from WA. Nice and early for you, Pam, and also to Geneva as well. Good morning, everybody. So when it comes to, science and the stuff that I share with you guys, whether it be nutritional science or even the science of, of our bodies, how our bodies operate, it's not my opinion. I like to do the research. I like to get in deep with the research documents and papers and studies. And I love that about science, is science keeps on evolving. It keeps on getting smarter. So, what I knew, let's say, even a couple of years ago, my understanding has evolved as the science continues to evolve. And it's one of the beautiful things about always being a lifetime learner, is that what I know is that I know very little about stuff. And the more I know, the old saying, the more I know, the less I know. Well, the more I know, the more I realize there is so much more that I don't know, and so many more areas that I'm learning about. And, when it comes to exercise, there is definitely some pretty common misconceptions out there in the marketplace in regards to exercise and how that relationship affects weight loss. And if weight loss is your goal, this is the conversation that I highly recommend you stay for. And please feel free to ask me any questions as we're going as well. I have a wonderful, I can see all your questions, which is great. With this new platform that I'm using, I can actually see comments. Yes, whereas before it was a hit and miss, but now I can see comments. So let's talk about exercise. So firstly, like I said, I'm not here to bag anything. I'm here to give you guys the facts. So I'm not against exercise. In fact, I fully understand and I fully appreciate the role that movement plays in our life. Like, our bodies are designed to move. We're designed to propel ourselves forward. And one of the unfortunate, I guess, ramifications of this modern lifestyle is we just don't move as much as we used to. We're no longer lifting things. Before, we were lifting everything, whether it be our suitcase. Do you remember before suitcase had wheels? We'd be lifting the suitcase through the airport. We're lifting babies, we're lifting ourselves, we're lifting boxes and shopping bags, and we're always lifting. We're always, carrying things, we're planting, we're digging, we're fishing, we're hunting, we're moving, we're having to move towards water and bring it back. Like, there was all this just opportunity to move in our daily lives, and that was just a part of survival. Well, that's no longer necessary, is it? Because now we can have our groceries delivered to our front door. We don't have to, if we want to eat a turnip, we can just go and buy one. We don't have to plant it, care for it, and then harvest it. We're just not moving as much because modern day lifestyle doesn't require us to move as much. So we're super busy. It's not like we've gotten less busy, is it? We've actually gotten busier. But the modern lifestyle means that we're just not moving as much as we used to. And with that sedentary lifestyle comes, circumstances and things that happen because we are just becoming more sedentary. We're just not moving as much. And some of those things is that, we're not using our muscles as much. So I'm a strong believer, absolutely. And this is just based on, having that understanding, that bit of understanding of how the body works, is that we are designed to move. And if you're someone who has become quite sedentary, this can be, dangerous towards lifespan. So if we want to live long and be fit and active, we have to be fit and active. And that means moving. That means walking instead of driving. That means, going out into your garden if you've got a garden, and being outside and just, doing things as opposed to letting modern convenience do the work for us. So I'm a huge, huge believer and person who advocates for moving, absolutely for moving. But does that mean you need to join a gym? And if your goal is weight loss, is there going to be a positive impact if you were to use it to join a gym and start to work out, or even to get some exercise equipment into your house, or whatever it might be, that where we go from movement to actually, timed exercise? So there is a difference, right? And when I think about my grandparents, for example, is they were very active with their work, that because it was the times where, you had to lift everything for yourself. And sure, they may not have been eating all the produce they were growing, but they were share milkers. So they were farmers. And so they were very, very active. And they obviously didn't join a gym or didn't need to because of their active lifestyle. We just know that's not the case anymore. So does exercise contribute to weight loss? Now, I'm not talking about moving, right, which is what we should all be doing regardless of what our situation is. We all need to move. We need to be active. I'm talking about that actual, that planned exercise where you're going in there going wherever you're going to specifically work muscle groups or get cardio in or run or whatever, row or whatever it might be. So exercise, and here's the thing, exercise does not, and this is from all the studies that I've looked at, and I was actually looking at one study that came out around about 2017. It was, I want to make sure I get this right for you guys. It was in the Journal of Diabetes Spectrum. So it was looking at, it was from the American Diabetes Association. And the name of the study was The Role of Physical Activity for Weight Loss and Weight Maintenance, which is really important. So it's a research paper that came out in 2017, a study that was done. And the conclusion of that study, which is the fascinating part, the conclusion of that study is that exercise does not contribute significantly to weight loss or weight maintenance. It does not. And I guess we need to know why, because society for so long has said to us that, in order to lose weight, you've got to eat less and move more, exercise more, join a gym, go to classes. Back in the 80s, it was jazzercise classes with Jane Fonda. And now it's CrossFit gyms and just this, like, I cannot find a corner here in Sydney where there isn't a gym now. There is little gyms, there's large gyms. There's just so many options when it comes to working out, when it comes to exercise. But what all the studies tell us is that exercise does not, I'm going to repeat that, exercise does not contribute significantly to weight loss or weight maintenance. Now, the role of exercise, as we said, is our bodies are designed to move. We need to get movement in every single day. We can't be sedentary. It keeps our muscles strong. It keeps our joints, really well oiled. It helps with relieving stress. It helps with all sorts of different, metabolic things that happen within the body. But weight loss is not one of them. And yet society has been telling us for decades that, you've got to go and join a gym in order to lose weight. In fact, what a lot of people do, and this is the unfortunate part, is they rely on exercise to lose weight, whereas in actual fact, they could be having the opposite effect on them. And that's what we need to talk about today, is the 5 things that you may not know about exercise and the relationship when it comes to weight loss. So here's the crazy part, right? Here's the crazy part. So I say crazy because, again, it's not what society's been telling us for so many years. Society's like, yeah, gotta move, you gotta exercise. And some people are exercising quite intensely as well. And if you're someone who's been exercising quite intensely and have not been seeing the results you would hope for, and weight loss is your goal, so fat loss is your goal, these may be the reasons why that's contributing to that. So here's the first thing. Exercise will help to improve insulin sensitivity. So insulin sensitivity is like the gold standard when it comes to weight loss. Your insulin needs to be sensitive. Now, insulin is a hormone released in response to the types of foods that we consume. So when we consume food, that food is broken down into glucose. Doesn't matter if it's a steak or an apple or a biscuit or a cookie. Does not matter. That food is the first thing that's done is that goes into the tummy and the stomach begins to break it down, and that food gets converted into glucose. Glucose is one of the body's sources of energy. So food equals energy, right? So when we're eating food, we're creating this energy or this glucose. That glucose needs to kind of move around the body. That's the role of insulin. So this hormone insulin is released from our pancreas in response to the glucose that our food has now become. It needs to move it around. Glucose cannot just sit in one place. It needs to move around the body. The body doesn't even like glucose kind of lumping around, and it likes to move it around. I'm just looking at this. I've just got to show you this, guys. How good is this? This is from Sylvia. Hi, Sylvia. I'm so glad you're enjoying your Bang Bang Brekkie. Good on you. That's a boost camp recipe, by the way. Sylvia is on boost camp. So yes, insulin's job is to move glucose around the body because the body doesn't like glucose sitting there. And actually, the body finds glucose to be quite inflammatory. It doesn't like it. It wants to just kind of disperse it as quickly as possible. So that's insulin's job. That's one of insulin's roles, is it's to move the glucose around. So when you're eating a lot of foods that are high in energy, so they're energy spiking foods, they create a lot of glucose, your body has to release a lot of insulin in response, because that's the direct connection, right? So your body's releasing all this insulin to deal with all the glucose that's coming in. And this is from the types of foods that you eat. And if you are releasing, like creating a lot of glucose in your body because you're eating a lot of food, a lot of high energy foods, sugar, starch, unhealthy fats, processed foods, foods from the takeout or the fast food restaurant, they create a lot of glucose because that's basically what they are. Not a lot of nutrients, lots of glucose. So the body's releasing all this insulin to deal with all the glucose. And when insulin is being released at such dramatic amounts, and it's just always, and we keep on eating these types of food, that insulin will actually become it becomes dysregulated. It's not able to regulate itself properly. And when that happens, we become what is known as insulin resistant. So insulin resistant is not what you want to be. It's because insulin is dysregulated. There's all this glucose, there's all this insulin, and the body is literally in survival mode. Now, insulin sensitivity, on the other hand, is the opposite. It's when insulin is able to manage itself. It's almost like, it's almost like looking after. It's like that child that is, grown up now and it's able to look after itself and it's just off and it's doing its thing and everything is wonderful. That is insulin sensitivity. And so exercise will help with insulin sensitivity, but you know what helps better with insulin sensitivity? Managing the types of foods that you're eating, the amount of glucose that's going in. It's way more efficient. Diet and nutrition is way more efficient at creating that insulin sensitivity in the body, which the body wants. It is the gold standard to fat loss and weight loss. The gold standard is literally the secret. And this, what's going to do it? Exercise will do it just a little bit. It'll have a little bit of an impact, but diet and nutrition will have the biggest impact. The biggest impact. So number one, diet will have a small impact when it comes to insulin sensitivity. Exercise will have a small impact. Let's get that right. When it comes to insulin sensitivity, the best way to become insulin sensitive, which is the gold standard of health, weight loss, fat loss, is through diet and nutrition. That's number one. So number two, exercise can actually lead to an increased food intake and decreased activity later. Have you ever had that experience where you've been really busy, or you've actually gone out and gone for a hike, or you've gone for a run, or you've had a really big swim, or you've actually just gone to the gym and had a big workout, and you come back and you're like, I'm starving? Have you ever had that experience? Because that's what the body does, right? So exercising can actually lead to increased food intake, especially if you're not managing your diet. If you're just eating food and then you're hoping that you can work it off, again, that's not how the body works. So you can't out-exercise a poor diet or a poor nutritional intake. So exercise can actually lead to an increased food intake because you're starving. You haven't eaten breakfast and you've gone to the gym, you've had this big crazy workout, and then you come back and you're starving. So we run the risk of increased food intake. If you're not managing your diet properly, if you're not managing your nutritional intake and you're just eating whatever, that is also problematic. I mean, I don't even have to explain why that is possibly problematic. And not only that, after a big workout, we can actually decrease our normal activity. That is just moving around, doing things, being active as opposed to doing exercise. So it could even be a double whammy there. So that's number two. Exercise can lead to increased food intake and decreased activity later. And that's the thing, when it comes to exercising, when it comes to like how much energy you may be using up, exercise may use up about 10 to 30% of the energy that's floating around in your body, aka the glucose. 10 to 30% is not very much. What uses more energy is just your activity through the day, not that focused, concentrated exercise, which might use up 10 to 30% of the energy that you've consumed throughout the day. The majority of your energy expenditure is things like using your brain, and that just, keeping your body alive and moving. Just the active approach to not being sedentary uses up more energy than exercise. So that's another thing to really bear in mind as well, is that that's why it's important that we just stay active, that we just move, that we walk, that we, that we climb the stairs instead of taking the escalator. Those are the types of movement that just becomes part of that habitual lifestyle, right? That becomes part of that bigger energy expenditure than just exercise alone. So number 3 is that when it comes to feeling satisfied or feeling satiated, so you feel full, or you just feel like you've had enough food, or you've had enough satisfaction throughout the day, we're talking about hormone regulation again. So there's hormones that the body releases that tells you that you're full, or that tells you that you are hungry. There's the kind of hormonal transmitting signals that happen within the brain that kind of let the body know, hey, I think you've had enough food, or actually it's time for food. Well, that hormonal balance is important. It's an important part of weight loss and fat loss, right? And that hormone balance is way better regulated than just relying on exercise to do it. Because as I said, in number 2, exercise can lead to being hungry, feeling hangry even. Whereas when you're balancing the food that you're putting into your body, you're able to better regulate those hormones responsible for you feeling full or you feeling hungry. Exercise does not have that big of an impact on those hormones. In fact, it can have the opposite impact, where you actually feel hungrier than if you were using diet to help to regulate those hormones. Fascinating, right? So that's number 3. And number 4 is that exercise is important, or movement is important, as we know, but nutrition is better at targeting fat loss than exercise. I'll say that again. Nutrition is better at targeting fat loss than exercise. So if fat loss is your goal, if weight loss is your goal, then nutrition is the answer. Exercise is not the answer to weight loss. It's the answer to other things, all those other wonderful things that our bodies need. But if really you're wanting to lose, some kilos or some pounds, you're better off using nutrition, because it's a targeted approach to fat loss. Now, in saying that, I'm not saying it's going to say, I'm going to lose the fat just here. It's not that type of targeted approach. It's a holistic approach to losing fat on all parts of your body, right? It's hard to target into one area when it comes to nutrition. Nutrition is a holistic approach, which is what your body is. Your body is one whole unit. It's not just your one arm here and one arm there, right? Your body is whole. It's an entirety. And that's what nutrition does. It gets you healthy from the inside out to every single part of your body. And nutrition can, in fact, target belly fat. That's a really interesting thing. Nutrition can help to target belly fat. But if you're wanting to just target fat loss in general, you're better off looking after the food intake and the beverage intake first and get a handle of that before going towards exercise. Fascinating, right? I know, absolutely fascinating. I'm about to lose power on my computer, so I'm going to have to hurry up. And number five is that nutrition is a much more sustainable long-term approach to weight loss, because it's very hard to maintain an intense exercise regime, right? It is a lot easier to learn new habits when it comes to the types of foods and beverages that you should be eating more often. How cool is that? I better go. I see I'm losing my stream. Have a great day, everyone. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.